Hello people, today we're going to talk about the F-4E and F-4C Phantom II. Our first example is of a Japanese Air Force F-4. This one was a foreign release available in Europe and Japan. Unfortunately on this one the windshield is missing, but this one is so hard to find I wasn't going to be picky. It's a great example. The paint job is, and the stickers are in great shape. On the bottom we see it marked F-4E Phantom II, mold marking A118, the Zylmex name and logo, and made in Hong Kong. Now if you'll notice the landing gear, the front post is shorter than the rear, causing it to sit at an angle, an awkward angle. And the gas tank here in the center, again very awkwardly placed inside the body of the airplane. I'm not sure why they chose to do that, but that's just the way they wanted to do things. Now the bombs on this particular model, this one on the left here looks great, but the one on the right is typically how they would look out of the package, broken and ready to fall off or already fallen off. Now these markings can be traced back to a particular airplane in the Japanese Air Force, seen here as a 60th anniversary special. Our next variation is of a US Air Force Thunderbird, the first airplane in that team. The same casting, we see the F-4E Phantom II marking, A118 mold marking, made in Hong Kong, but the Zylmex logo and name have been removed. And these bomblets are still awkwardly broken. It's a very good looking model. The third variation is exactly the same markings, same broken bombs. But with this particular model, we see a hole drilled into the body of the airplane. That's not drilled, it's a hole was added to the mold. A post was added to the mold so that less material would be used in the casting. And I assume it's to offset the amount of material used to make the landing gear posts. Same machined metal wheels. Now the fourth variation is identical to the third in every respect, except for the removal of the Hong Kong marking. So at some point the factory moved from Hong Kong to somewhere else in China, and so that Hong Kong marking had to be removed. Now, like our last variation, this Thunderbird is traceable to a very specific airplane, which is on display today at the Burke Lakefront Airport as a static display. Now, the next variation I'm going to show you is actually still in the package, and I can't take it out, or I'm not going to take it out. But this one has a radically different paint job. It's a dark green paint job with large U.S. Air Force stickers and the logo on the wing and the sticker on the right wing here. So this is a very different paint job from the previous two we've seen. But on this one, the landing gear has been changed to a style that's exactly like the ones found on the Starfighter and other very early Zylmex models. Now this one in particular was available exclusively in Canada, distributed by Lesney. Moving along to the next variation, you might notice right away that this casting is completely different. Still a Phantom F4, but this is an F-4C. And the mold marking is still the same, A118. Although the casting obviously is very, very different. They updated the front landing gear to be even with the rear. Unfortunately, this specimen has a broken and missing rear wheel, and one of the missiles is broken in half. But this one was hard to find, and so until I find an identical variation in better shape, this one will have to stay in the collection. But also notice the void of camouflage in this area. The company also felt that that was too much of a dead space, so at some point they upgraded the pattern to have more brown in that area. But this pattern was very consistent throughout the life of this airplane from here on out. On the bottom here we see the addition of the Zylmex sticker, made in China. And the paint job is more gloss than we notice from this earlier version. A little bit different color brown with a little bit more sheen to it. Now this last variation is even more glossy. It has all the same markings, but they bothered to remove the Air Force logo from the side of the body of the plane there. And if you also notice, these four little dots next to the 829 have also been removed. I think this was just in an attempt to streamline the painting process, the marking process. This last variation we have here can be traced back to a very specific airplane, just like the Thunderbird. Well, this last camouflaged variation is also traceable to a very specific airplane. During Vietnam, Colonel Olds flew this very specific aircraft in combat and was very successful with it. This airplane is on display today at the Dayton Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. Strangely enough, I just did a video on a lot of the airplanes at Dayton, Ohio, and I did not see this Phantom. So I'm going to have to go back and see if I can find it. Thanks for watching, people. Make it a great day. Hey, Sophie, I'm taking off. Can you come up here and give me a hug?
Come down here!
Can I get a hug?